I heard somebody say a tip once to do with money, and it was only buy the things that you want with new money. And it's something that I've actually kept with me and I followed since I heard it a few years ago now. And what it meant was, if you're, let's say you have like your job or whatever your income is, and you're paying your bills and you're putting whatever you can into your savings account, whatever it is that you lay out your money each week or each month or whatever, um, that would be considered old money. Okay, so if you suddenly decide, I really want to go on this holiday, or I have plans to buy a house, or I have plans to, like, anything on a smaller scale, a new car, or whatever it might be. And the tip is that you're not allowed to use old money. So the money in the savings account is already earmarked for something. You're not just putting money in there for sure, I'll just put it in there just because. There's always going to be something in your head that's my emergency fund, that's my car fund, that's my this fund. Um, so the idea is that if you suddenly decide, like, let's say that money is for an emergency fund, and you suddenly decide, oh, my car is getting a bit beat up now, um, I want to get a new car, or even like a second hand car, whatever. You want to change your car, but you're going to have to add €1,000 to maybe what you'll get back for your car that you have. So you can only use new money. So the idea behind that is finding another source of income to pay for your new thing. Um, I mean, depending on your income, you can always add to your savings. Like, I'm going to cut back on this thing and I'm going to add to my savings, and that's my new money. Um, from the income that you already have, or it's a case of finding that motivation to find some new income to pay for the new thing with new money. That was the tip anyway. And I've always found it really helpful to think about it that way. Like, you don't want to be taken from what you have, especially if you're on a tight budget. You can't take from what you have there for your basics, because you're just about covering your basics. So it's about finding that motivation to find new money. And so then that brought me to the idea of the side hustles. So, like, over the years, I've done plenty of things that, wouldn't be considered a normal job, like working in a shop or something like that. I have done bar work in the past and things like that, but I've also done like the craft stalls and, stuff like that. So, um I would love to hear your side hustles in the comments. I'd love to see what people are doing, and if people could share those with each other. One important thing that I've noticed is, like, if you're going to pick a side hustle, it has to be something that you're interested in. It has to be something that you are motivated by and that you're interested in. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. Now, you might only need this thing to be sustainable for a couple of weeks while you make the money for whatever it is that you want, but it could also be sustainable long term. In which case you would have a new income stream, and you would be able to put that new money to other things, plans that you have, um so for example, craft stalls, I always had an interest in making things. I always had an interest in being creative that way. So that was something I was really, really interested in. And so one year, it was nearly Christmas, and I was really struggling with, the idea of, like, how am I going to buy the toys and all of that kind of stuff. Also, like, the idea that you have to buy for family, and and you want to buy for family, but then when you're struggling, it's a lot. So I actually spent 6 weeks. I would put the boys to bed, and I would stay up until gone midnight with my sewing machine at the kitchen table, my hot glue, my, all of the stuff, um, just making things, and then finding something else to make and making a few of them, finding something else to make and making a few of them. And I went to a craft fair. Now, this was 6 weeks of, like I said, labor of, like, staying up from, say, 9 o'clock in the evening till midnight, gone midnight. And I went to a craft fair and I made €100. And I mean, looking back, you think, God, that was a lot of effort for €100. Um, but that €100 was massively needed at the time, and it made a huge difference to the panic that I was having on, you know, how I was going to spend, how I was going to come up with the money for this stuff. So I mean, but I suppose what that speaks to is having the motivation to change your situation and putting in the hard work to do it. um Now, I was very lucky that I didn't have to pay for the supplies that I had. And this is something that I'll talk about this in another video, but it just so happened completely coincidentally, um, this stuff landed on my lap for free. And which was amazing. And it just helped me to kind of feel like, God, I'm being looked out for here. This stuff is here. And it was funny because every time I decided I was going to make something, I know I was making aprons, little aprons, and I needed them cut a certain size, and the material just seemed to be already cut that size, which was crazy. But yes, anyway, it just shows, you know, new money. You can make new money by using your skills that you have, but also by doing something that you enjoy. Because I enjoyed the craft and it was actually really therapeutic for me. So although it was 6 weeks of hard work in the evenings and staying up late and stuff, I was enjoying myself. It was something that I enjoyed to do, you know. So just recently I have set up my own business, and I can talk about that in another video as well, like going self-employed and stuff, because it always seemed really daunting to me. It always seemed like it would be really difficult to do that. But it actually really wasn't. It wasn't at all. I was actually really, really surprised. And I was very lucky to have a friend that I could speak to and ask the questions that she's self-employed and how did you do it and how does it work? And, you know, she was able to help me kind of simplify it, you know. But I have just gone self-employed as a cleaner. So I already am employed as a cleaner in the evenings, but now I'm self-employed as a cleaner during the day. Because myself and my husband, we have plans, we have things that we want to do, and we are going to do it with new money. So hopefully, all going well, we will have some new money coming in. That is, like, when you think about your budget, the budget that I have, everything that's set out, we're just about covering everything. We're able to save a small amount. Now this money is going to be extra. So this extra money is going to go towards our new plans. It's new money. So it will go towards our new plans, our long-term plans that we have. And yeah, hopefully all goes well there. So like I said, I'd love to hear if you have like, what is your side hustle? What is it that you would love to do or that you are doing? Something that you're good at, something that you feel like you'd be good at. Because sometimes I think you don't realize that you could do that as a side hustle. You don't think about it. You don't think about these things, and then somebody else is doing it, and you're like, oh, I could do that. And I think it's like gatekeeping something is I always have this idea that there's enough for everybody, and by gatekeeping something, we're telling ourselves that there's not enough, and then that carries over into our work, and into the point where there's not enough customers. It's nearly like I do believe that we kind of create our reality in that way. So don't gatekeep it. Share what you're doing. Share what's working. Share how you became self-employed and how you know, all of those kinds of things, because it's really important that we help each other. Because we're the ones that are going to bring each other out of the situations that we find ourselves in, and give each other the motivation to know that you can do that. You can bring yourself out of whatever situation that you find yourself in, by finding that little bit of motivation, giving each other that motivation, and a little bit of support, a little bit of information here and there, whatever it is that's needed.